mentioned something as you were talking there about when you used to feel hungry, you used to smile and like get excited because that meant you're burning fat. I have a couple of comments on this. One, I've had the experience, I'm sure you've seen this too, of working with overweight people who, as they're starting to implement some strategies to lose weight, I've seen this happen a number of times where somebody will feel a burning sensation in their abdomen and get alarmed by it and actually like consider calling the doctor or going to the hospital or like, panic and freak out like something's wrong. And then they realize that it's just the sensation of hunger. They literally have not felt the sensation of hunger in years or sometimes decades. And there's a number of avenues we could probably go down just based on that topic alone. What are the consequences of never getting into that state? But the other thing I want to mention that's interesting here is you mentioned Andrew Huberman, and he talks about, as far as dopamine circuits, this idea of subjective insertion, where you take control of your own dopamine circuits and take something that maybe otherwise would not necessarily be something that makes you feel pleasure, like the discomfort of hunger pangs, for example. But you now create an association where you go, I'm going to smile because now this means I'm on the right track to achieve my goal. So you're training your brain that bit of discomfort is actually something that you should be happy about and turn it into pleasure. So anyway, those two comments I wanted to make, but please, I'm sure you got commentary, take that wherever you want to go.
So it's funny that Dr. Huberman and I bonded over that, because one of the things that I've perpetuated since my career was like, so I was known for my legs. I was known for having some of the best legs in the planet. And I took pride in crushing anyone that came in to train with me on leg day. And like, I would intentionally try to crush their soul. Like I wasn't always nice, but the way that I was able to do that was every time it was just so uncomfortable. It was almost unbearable. I would smile. And at the time I'm like, I know that I'm doing something that no one else can. So I get this almost devilish smile. Right. And it was, I wasn't trying to put anyone down, but I was literally training myself to love that. And so I had this quote that says, at the deepest depths of your hardest hour, smile, knowing you're becoming a better version of yourself. And it's funny because when he heard me say it, he goes, man, that do you know what you're doing there? I go, no. And he goes, oh yeah, so you're hijacking the dopamine system. And I was like, gosh, that's so fascinating. So yeah, and all you have to do is just convince yourself or train yourself to realize like this is a good thing. And it's certainly a far kind of divergence for most people, isn't it? And I often teach this in the gym, and I use this metaphor, like, think of us, maybe, I don't know, 50,000 years ago as humans, the first or whatever duration of time when we first discovered fire. When somebody first saw fire, let's say you saw a big fire off in the distance, you didn't know what it was. At first, you're going to go like, oh my gosh, it's a god, right? You're like, oh, it's this amazing thing. And eventually, the next day you come back, you go a little bit closer, you go, oh, it's a god, like amazing. I'm gonna bow to it. Eventually, you get closer and closer. You start to feel the heat, and you go, oh, I can't go any closer. Like you start to feel the warmth. But eventually you get a little more comfortable and you go back a little further, and eventually you're right up against it and you're waving your hand through it. And maybe you're going, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then eventually you're able to cook your food in it, and you're able to heat your family, and you're able to sustain life. So it goes from being this thing that's like fearful and I'm like staying a distance to eventually becoming the greatest asset in my life, right? So I'm walking into this fire, I'm going, man, I can cook my food and keep my family warm at night. I can use this for my tribe to be able to thrive and grow. Well, that's, I think, the same idea that exists in exercise. In the beginning, when people walk into the gym, like, oh, I don't like this. I hate it, right? And they're like, well, how about we just slowly, intentionally walk you a little bit closer, as close as you want. I'm not going to rush you, as close as you want into that proverbial fire. And if you feel it uncomfortable at like 6 reps, no problem. You stop right there. And next time, let's try 7. Maybe you could just even start the next rep and see if you can go a little bit further into that discomfort. And eventually you develop what I develop, which is like, when I go into the gym, the set starts when I start to get into the excruciating burn. I was like, oh yeah, here we go. This is what I'm looking for. This is the reward for me, right? So it's like you see the reward and you go into it because you're like, that's where the gold is, man. That's where the good stuff is. Rather than like typical people who walk in the gym, like, I don't even want to lift the weight because it really hurts. I'm like, yeah, it does. Stop. Don't go in it, right? And that perspective of like, it's okay to stop. I don't have to yell at you and tell you to do 10 more. I want you to be comfortable and realize you're safe. right? This is an important lesson for parents too. As parents, sometimes, I'm sure you'll deal with this at some point, kids can tend to have an aversion to discomfort. They're like riding their bike or going for a walk. This really hurts. I want to stop. Stop. No problem.
Hey, this is Ari. I hope you enjoyed this video. And one more thing before you go. Actually, two more things. One is, if you enjoyed this particular little clip, the link to the full-length podcast is in the description down below. So make sure to check that out. Also, one more thing. Let me ask you a question. What if I could show you how to double your energy levels and dramatically improve your brain function, reducing your anxiety and depression to a degree on par with antidepressant drugs, but without the side effects? Sound pretty interesting? Well, there are, in fact, numerous compounds that can do this, that have been shown to do this. And I'll take you through just a few of these very briefly. One of them is rhodiola rosea. And this has been shown in studies, rhodiola rosea extract in people with stress-related fatigue and exhaustion to cut their levels of fatigue and brain fog in half in less than a month. Just this one compound. There's another compound in my formula Energenesis called NT factor phospholipids that's been shown to help repair mitochondrial membranes and mitochondrial health to the level of healthy 29-year-olds, taking people with deteriorated mitochondria who are over the age of 65, restoring it to the level of healthy 29-year-olds. And that has been shown in numerous studies in various types of chronic fatigue, aging-associated chronic fatigue, obesity-related chronic fatigue syndrome, to increase energy levels by 30 to 45% in the span of 4 to 12 weeks, depending on the specific study. So dramatic improvements in a very, very short period of time. Two more compounds that are amazing, I highly recommend, that are in my formula Ultra Brain, along with rhodiola rosea. Saffron extract. This has been shown to increase levels of, improve your mood, I should say, and decrease levels of depression on par with fluoxetine, which is Prozac. And not only that, but with fewer side effects. It's much safer and much less likely to cause negative effects than antidepressant drugs are. Acetyl L-carnitine is another compound that's been shown to dramatically improve brain health in older adults. It also improve energy levels in older adults with chronic fatigue by between 40 to 50% in just the span of 2 to 4 months. And the last thing I'll mention here is acetyl L-carnitine has also been compared to antidepressant drugs and been shown, like saffron, to be as effective as antidepressant drugs in combating depression, but without the harmful side effects that so often occur with the drugs. So this is just a small sampling of the over 35 compounds that are in my formulas, Energenesis and Ultra Brain, that are all proven to dramatically improve energy levels, mitochondrial health, and brain health, and much, much more. And I highly recommend that you go check these out. If you're struggling with depression or anxiety or brain fog, if you're struggling with stress-related exhaustion and burnout, if you're struggling with chronic fatigue, go check out these formulas, give them a shot. I promise you are going to be blown away by the results. And like I said, the science has already proven that these things work. So you don't have to just take my word for it. There's lots of research to support that, and I'll even link to some of that research down below so you can verify everything that I just said for yourself. So the links to those studies will be in the description for this video down below. So check them out. Check out the formulas on theenergyblueprint.com. Again, Energenesis is the mitochondrial formula, and Ultra Brain is our brain formula. Check them out, try them out, and I think you're going to be blown away by the results. Thanks so much, and I'll talk to you again soon.